Hi, I'm Sarah Gonzalez. Welcome to the news and why it matters. Glenn, what was the top story?
It has to be the McCabe firing.
Okay, Stu?
Are politics becoming even more and more like team sports?
No.
It's true. It's
Okay.
true.
Pat?
One of the pro-Second Amendment kids was actually on a television program this weekend.
No way!
Wow. We'll have to get into that.
Gal Gadot, and today not just because she's hot. There's a whole other story. Yeah.
Okay, all right. So, Glenn, why did the whole McCabe firing matter to you?
Just because I'm so tired of trying to. I have to have a map to be able to figure out what side I'm supposed to be on all the time. Am I for them or am I against them now? And what principle do I have to surrender? This weekend, the Democrats had to surrender the truth matters. You had to surrender, but they surrendered it in the 90s when they said, oh, you can lie under oath, no big deal. But then somehow or another they found it again, and then they lost it. We have found it again, but we have lost it in the past, and I just don't know. It's so much. Somebody said to me today, it's so much easier when when you just don't care and you go one way or the other. No, I think this is harder. At least it is as a spectator. I'm having a hard time keeping up with where we're supposed to be.
And if you read what McCabe has come out and said, you wouldn't know at all that they actually found that he
lied
yes.
to investigators as an FBI agent, and you also wouldn't know that the Democrats were the ones who wanted this investigation.
Right. And leaked information.
Yeah, and the crazy thing is the stuff that McCabe was in trouble for leaking and lying about was pro-Trump, anti-Clinton, not pro-Clinton, anti-Trump. So he's, Trump is out there saying how bad this guy is, and he really did do something wrong, it appears. We still haven't seen the actual report. But the thing he actually leaked helped Trump, not Clinton.
The agency that finally called for his firing never. This is unprecedented. It is a neutral party, if you can believe that, but it's never called for somebody's firing. Yeah. So this is unprecedented that this kind of really lackadaisical, government HR department went, that guy's really bad. When's the last time you heard anybody in government say that?
The FBI itself wanted him fired.
Right.
How is this a Trump thing?
But again, you know why? Because who fires somebody at 10 o'clock at night on Friday? What the hell is that?
Yeah.
I mean, it was a double bluff is what it was.
Yeah?
A double false flag.
Yeah. Two flags on the field.
Exactly. Offsetting.
Did you cover this, Doc?
Yeah, we touched on it a little bit. Just the twists and turns of it that so few people get right. I'm with you. It's just,
it's like, don't you get to a point to where you're like, you could say, yeah, that McCabe guy, I'm glad he's out. And then your side is like, no, we're not glad he's out. You're a traitor. Oh, no, wait, no, I'm not a traitor. I just forgot.
Well, part of me is, but part of me isn't. Just that one part of it.
I'm actually to the point where I'm completely bored out of all of these stories. And it's we were talking about this a little bit today. It's not bored like a Jane Austen 1700s movie. It's bored like Fast and Furious sequel. I've seen it. It's not that there's not a lot of stuff going on and blowing up and car chases and everyone's crashing. There's a lot going on. I'm just bored. It's the same freaking explosion.
And you can miss one Fast and Furious, pick it up the next one, and it's still great.
Yep. Do you think that Trump tweeting about this is helping him or hurting him?
No, it's hurting him. It's just if he would just, can somebody, as he goes into the bathroom, can somebody just say, hand me your phone? Hand me your phone.
Well, there's a theory out there that he's trying to, again, there's always an explanation for this. And one of the ideas is that he does this stuff to create the biggest flame up possible. So instead of taking this victory of, McCabe being fired, he makes a big deal out of it. He starts tweeting at Mueller. He does all of these things and talks about no collusion. So he can focus everybody on two things. One, that anything McCabe has touched is automatically false because, look, he's a bad guy. He got fired. We had to fire the guy. Of course he doesn't like me. And then, of course, on the other side of that is no collusion. So anything else, if everyone else in his administration gets indicted over something else, he can always come back to no collusion, which, I don't think there's going to be a finding of collusion. We've talked about this since the beginning. I don't think that's where this is going to wind up.
I feel like most of these are like newspeak in 1984. Not that Trump is, but how you constantly got to update what the new truth is, where they keep rewriting it. That's how I feel about this stuff.
Yeah. Stu, tell us about the team sport called politics.
A perfect segue from you, Doc, because we all are constantly revising exactly whatever we feel, and like now sides are switching all over again. The latest, and I know this has been a hot button for Pat, is this Stormy Daniels thing. Listen to these two things. I couldn't believe these new polls that came out. This is from 1998. CBS poll in 1998. 77% of Democrats said that then President Bill Clinton's relationship with Monica Lewinsky was a private matter having to do with Clinton's personal life. Just 16% of Democrats considered the affair a public matter having to do with his job as president. In contrast, 64% of Republicans cast the situation as a public concern, while 28% said it was a private matter. Do I even need to reveal the next part of this?
No.
Perhaps because of Daniels is in the news, along with other alleged affairs by Trump, just 26% of Democrats versus 67% of Republicans agreed that an elected official who committed an immoral act in their personal life can still behave ethically and fulfill their duties in the public and professional life. Now, what's amazing about that is not only how pathetic the team sports thing has gotten now. I mean, now Democrats are the ones saying you can't have affairs and serve as president. It blows your mind. But the way that question is framed, it doesn't include whether Trump actually did this. So if you're one of these people who said, like with Roy Moore, we got a lot of like, look, I just don't believe he did those things, so therefore I can still support him. Okay, that's okay. This is framed as if he doesn't have to be guilty or not. It doesn't even mention Trump. All it says is, can people have a terrible personal life and still serve ethically in government? And now the Democrats, I think we'd all agree at this table, have the right side of that issue. They are the ones saying, now I don't believe them. I don't believe there's any principle behind it. I believe it's all team sports. But how do we let that get away? We had the high ground. We used to maintain the high ground, and now there just is no high ground because it's all team sports.
It's just too good. It's too hard.
That's my segment.
You're so cynical.
That's my segment.
I mean, they have learned 20 years. They finally were like, oh, you're right, morality matters.
I mean, it's ridiculous on both sides, too. I mean, like, they all of a sudden care about
It's so much more disappointing with the Republicans.
It is.
Because you expect this of the Democrats. They've been doing it forever. But the Republicans to do a total 180 on this it's incomprehensible. I keep using that word. I don't think it means what you think it means. But isn't it outrageous? I mean, from evangelicals to rank and file Republicans, they don't care.
It shows too, a real limit in the effectiveness of polling. Because the bottom line is, everyone is taking that question and they're just converting it to Trump's the one currently being accused. Do I defend Trump or do I attack Trump?
So I think the bigger thing is to get it away from Trump and to get it away from politics. Because I don't know about you guys, I'm bored by all of it.
It's Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift.
It is. It really is. Is to find the place where we can free our mind. Where can you free your mind of all of this stuff? Where is it that you can speak freely? You can question with boldness. You can say, I think that's wrong without being called a traitor on one side or another. Where is that? That's what we should be worried about and creating, because that's what's really dying here is critical thinking and the ability to hear the things and discuss the things that make you feel unsafe.
Yeah, well, I like to think that we can find that here at the place.
There we are.
Yeah, you'd like to think that, wouldn't you?
Okay, so Pat, the Parkland survivor, his name is Kyle Kashuv.
Yes, Kashuv.
And he actually appeared on TV, as you said, with Piers Morgan. So
on
why
the BBC?
Yeah, why did that matter so much?
Because first of all, I love the fact that Piers Morgan actually put somebody on with a differing point of view. Nobody in American media is doing that. This had to happen in Great Britain. The other thing that's interesting is this kid was pretty knowledgeable, and he kind of schooled Morgan because he's been a crusader on gun control for a really long time.
Morgan, yeah.
And he threw out all these stats about the tens of thousands dying, and isn't it worth it if we can just get some kind of common sense gun control? And the kid corrected him on the numbers and said, first of all, most of what you're talking about are suicides. And secondly, a lot of the rest are gang-related, and only 3% of any of it happened from an AR-15. So why are you making such a big deal? But he was really good, and it was gratifying to see that there's a millennial and a student from Parkland who could actually argue the correct point of view.
Which I have said, and then some left-leaning people have told me, oh, well, you wanted to call them children and just dismiss their ideas before when you didn't agree with them, and now all of a sudden you're going to give
No, wait.
credibility.
When you're acting like children,
right?
Yes.
Well, and he's bringing facts to the table.
No, I don't think you're all children. I think you're children when you are like, did too. Did too.
Swear. I mean, they released a video where one of them was swearing. They were making fun of the appearance of people in the debate.
Yeah, I mean, that's just childish.
But the same thing with the pro gun control kids. We're not asking for them to not have a voice or not speak at all. Right. We're saying their ideas have to be pushed just as hard as the ideas as the other side. You have to be able to challenge them without feeling bad like you're hurting some victim.
And it's so rare that anybody will show the other side that there are actually Parkland kids who believe as he does.
You see Twitter? Twitter invited all these people to do a live Twitter feed, and where they can ask questions about Second Amendment, and they're all the Parkland, pro-gun control people. We have one of them on with us on radio tomorrow. The anti-gun that
it's Kyle. It's the same guy.
Yeah, it was saying
Piers Morgan. He's going to be on with us on radio tomorrow.
Where are you, Twitter? How come I'm?
And here's the difference.
And they said, well, we'll do a separate one for you. That's not the same.
No, that's not the same. And when is it?
Separate but equal?
Right, yeah. Okay, and it's not that you wouldn't have on that Hog Kid or any of the others. Would you talk to them?
Yes,
of course. So would I.
Oh,
so it's not what
invitation.
So have we, and it's not that we're just trying to present that one side. We're actually saying, "Come on, ours." Is CNN saying to these kids, the pro second ones, "Come on and we'll chat"? No.
Oh, Pat, I would pay money to hear you interview David Hogg. Just throwing that out there.
There's danger with that, though. You got to keep your head. So I would hope I could, but
I like you're warning us.
No. You did. Who was it? You did a fascinating interview with Alex Jones.
Oh yeah. Classic.
I mean, you've done Jesse Jackson and kept your head.
Yes.
That's not easy.
I want to make sure to get to Doc's top story, which is, why else is Gal Gadot in the news?
Aside from that she's hot, because that'll always put her in the news. Last week when Stephen Hawking died, she put out a rest in peace, Stephen Hawking, you're brilliant, you will be missed. And she put, you are no longer constrained by the physical, something like
now
this.
you're free of any physical constraints.
Yeah, and it's very nice. And Twitter, Facebook melted down because she is an ableist.
Mm-hmm. What is an ableist exactly?
Somebody who is, and I don't know if I can actually, not in support of those that are not fully able.
So she is.
Wait, what?
Somebody who
here's the thing.
discriminates against
you're
free.
supposed to wish that in the next life he's still handicapped.
No.
Okay.
Here's the way it is.
Okay.
There is no next life.
Oh, that's right.
Because he was also an atheist.
Yes, that's right.
So it was also very upsetting to a lot of people, two people on Twitter, that were very upset that she was saying, now you're free. No, you're not. You're in a box with dirt on top of you and you're dead.
Mm-hmm. Well, they wanted to take this that she was anti-disabled. It had nothing to do with that. She was actually trying to honor him. You could tell by the tone of the tweet.
Would you say, too, Doc, that the two people on Twitter that were actually pissed off about that would be the same people who would say, hey, congratulations, we got rid of all the Down syndrome kids. I guarantee those two things are the same. And it's like, look, life is important here. But obviously, if we could cure things that are ailments to people, we want to do that.
But it's not a cure to kill people.
No,
we cured the world of Jews.
Right.
I mean, that wasn't a cure.
On that note, we're going to take a break. Stay with us.
You always want to end breaks with kill the world.
Right.
Cure the world.
Obviously.
It's typical outline.
Glenn Beck said in 20.
Man, it just started snowing out of nowhere this morning, man. Y'all been.
So it was a lovely man.
Lovely. Love him.
Lovely.
Glenn, Alyssa Klein, the social media manager for the Women's March, quit last week after there was talk about the Women's March aligning with Louis Farrakhan.
Okay, so let's take a moment and point to somebody and say, good job on the left. This is what she tweeted. I respect loyalty. I do not respect unquestioning loyalty, especially if it means attacking those who are asking legitimate questions, and especially if it means turning a blind eye to hate spoken about one group of people. Leaders need to be open to questions. She left with this, and she said, I want nothing to do with the women's movement because of their embrace of Louis Farrakhan. She wasn't alone. We didn't cover this. I don't know anybody who did on the left either. Planned Parenthood got away from the women's movement. That was their biggest tribe. That's huge.
Wow.
Huge.
So there's a lot of people there that do not agree with Louis Farrakhan or like don't blanket.
I mean,
it's
the lowest of low bars to say, let's not call Jews vermin.
It's not a difficult one.
It's not a difficult one.
Well, but just like we were talking earlier about how it's a team sport now, I mean, this kind of seems to have the same feel. So are people now waking up?
Right. I don't know, but it is good to see this. It's good to see this.
Yeah. Pat, what's your take?
The same. I agree.
Right, sir.
With what?
With what? Jews or vermin?
Whatever.
Oh my gosh, Pat.
We'll follow you into battle. Whatever you said, we're ready.
Speaking of Jews, Sue, did you hear that they are now manipulating many things, including the weather?
We have had a lot of Jewish-related topics today, proving that they do control the media.
Yes.
That is now controlled. But there was a guy, a councilman in D.C., who saw it began to snow. Do we have the actual clip?
We
Because
do.
his explanation is pretty in-depth.
Man, it just started snowing out of nowhere this morning, man. Y'all better pay attention to this climate control, man. This climate manipulation. And DC keep talking about we're a resilient city. Man, that's a model based off the Rothschilds controlling the climate to create natural disasters they can pay for it and own the cities, man. Be careful.
Don't the Rothschilds make wine?
Candy.
That was quite a blizzard.
Yes,
also.
that is my favorite part of that clip is
Well,
how
that's digital manipulation.
Is that what it is?
It is.
Yes.
My favorite part of that clip is how it's not snowing really at all. It's just flurries. Like the Rothschilds invested in a weather control system that produces flurries.
That's like
Today.
Not very
That's
good.
out of nowhere. That's out of nowhere.
Well, except for the clouds above him.
Right. It's interesting. He seemed amazed that it would go from a period where it was not snowing to a period where it is snowing, which is the description of all snowing periods. It always isn't snowing and then starts snowing.
And in winter, if it was July and it was snowing
Can I tell you something? That's no. That's why the Jews are so crafty on it. Okay? You'd know if it was in July,
Right.
but in winter you don't suspect the Jew.
So is it a panel discussion
crazy?
at the home of the Rothschilds where they're like, all right, what are we doing Tuesday? Give me D.C. Light flurries.
Flurries in
The
DC.
Bahamas. What are we going?
Partly sunny.
Partly sunny. I like
Yeah,
it.
we're going partly sunny.
And we're going to slowly turn up the temperature.
Oh, all day.
Spring, all spring.
What about a light drizzle in the afternoon?
After thunderstorms, only in the afternoon, Mexico City.
By the way, Bigfoot's house, perfectly sunny and 76 all the time.
Pat, I heard that at the Massachusetts Capitol, it is very dangerous for me as a woman
It is.
to enter at a particular place.
Well, you wouldn't enter in a particular place. That's the
Hold on.
general
Please,
hooker
please.
entrance.
Don't just spring.
Wow.
Don't spring it on the fine young lady. The vapors might take her down. She needs a fainting couch. She's so delicate, like a little flower.
I mean, what?
Well,
There are people who are truly.
yes.
saying this
One
is-
in particular, if I could consult my phone for a second, Massachusetts State Rep Michelle Dubois says it's an affront to women's dignity. Female staffers won't even go in that entrance. And she tweeted that hashtag #MeToo isn't all about just rape and harassment. It's also about fighting against Civil War veterans. Yeah.
Well, see what she doesn't say here, and you're being a little unfair, is the general hooker entrance, okay? But they also have the hardcore hooker.
And the specific
I want to be a
hooker,
specific
Yeah, and the
hooker.
shoe fetish hooker on this side of the building. So,
So it's about Joseph Hooker, who was a general during the Civil War of some note. And
a northern general.
Yeah.
So a general fighting to free the slaves.
Yes.
Right. Right. And it's the entrance by his statue, so they call it the General Hooker entrance. And to be offended by that is just...
Now, listen, we have a lady president.
Are you offended by that?
Extremely.
Yeah, I can tell.
I'm actually, this is my last show. I'm turning in my notice.
You get your parasol and just stand outside while us men talk about things.
I'm proposing we change the name to General Prostitute Entrance. Can we just do that?
Yeah.
That'll be good to go.
Yeah.
I'm offended that they keep saying that only women can be hookers because guys can be hookers too.
There is a big market for that.
Thank you.
A large
Wow,
market.
I don't know. I tried it. I didn't make any money.
All right. Doc, tell us really quickly about the VA.
VA conducted a big search study to say if they needed a new hospital in New England states, Vermont and New Hampshire. And they already have one hospital in each, and they had an outpatient clinic in part of Vermont. And they said, shockingly, no, we don't need a new hospital. The existing facilities we have will be fine to cover. For example, the outpatient clinic served 7,000 last year. We just upped that. And a member of Congress, this Democrat from the area, she's like, yeah, that place doesn't exist. And the executive was already told, she said, no, that place has never existed. They just had a facility listed that does not exist. It just doesn't exist.
That's like Fatima. All 7,000 soldiers went and they were cured.
See, what this proves is the VA has been really good with technology. They now have stealth benefits.
Wow.
I think that's what this is.
Those are probably for the pilots of the
stealth bomber, right, exactly. But you have 7,000 people you claim go there. Was there a budget listed with this as well? Is there money involved?
Had to have been.
And how are you serving the veterans if you're claiming this facility? And it was a whole research study to see if they needed a new facility.
We have to track that down. That is, I didn't
Bizarre.
hear that.
It would be funny if it weren't so horrifying.
Yeah.
You know, they're supposed to be taking care of our vets, and they're not.
Yeah.
They're just not.
But I think you are onto something. Where's the money? Because you wouldn't just have that name and
exactly.
7,000
Someone would say,
people.
where's the budget for that?
Yeah, what's this cost us? What's happening here?
Yeah. All right. We got to take a break. More to come.
Wow.
That's not. It's a really weird story. It's like the McCabe thing where they're like.
Every day we try to get to your questions, so if you have a question for any of the guys, remember to tweet us using the hashtag #TheBlazeWhy. All right, Carol wants to know if we are ever going to see Hillary Clinton end up in jail.
No.
I mean, maybe if she visits someone there.
No. If there is a jail at the bottom of the stairs and she falls into it.
Yes.
Yes, maybe.
Well, yeah, because Marie wanted to know also why is Hillary falling so much?
Gravity. That's why we all fall.
Democrats are pushing her.
There's a conspiracy.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Always a false flag.
Denise wants to know when are Glenn and Ben Shapiro going to run for president?
It's going to take both of you.
We're two different people.
President and vice president.
Yeah. Never. Absolutely never.
We know who gets top billing in that case?
Yeah, who does?
A little I mean, I'm voting for
know.
you, you know. So Ben signs my checks.
We gotta
Then,
go.
I said
Tomorrow.
milk 'em. It's the VA.